Hello and welcome to another CraftySniper's Airsoft videos. Now today I'm going to be doing some reviews. Yes, finally I'm getting back to doing some reviews. Today's subject is going to be this. This is the G&G CM18 Combat Machine Range M4 rifle. Now before I get into this and any facts about it, I just want to give a little bit of information on what's coming along in the future. Right, last week I pre-ordered, I actually ordered a push-to-talk gizmo thingy, whatever I'd call it, that is involved in comms and radios. So once that has turned up, I'm going to be doing a video on comms in Airsoft. Now, I have a few things here to show you just briefly what I'm going to be talking about when I do that video. I have a very big headset here, which has quite a few neat gizmos on it itself. That's going to be in the video. I also have, if you're not wanting to wear things like that, a full headset even. I have this. This is a half ear, no, not half ear. Half ear won't do much good at all. A one earpiece setup. And obviously, if you're going to get headsets, you're going to want a push-to-talk thingy as well, but you're also going to want a radio. Got one. This is the radio I've been running. At the moment, it also has a slightly smaller earpiece on this one. Like I said, I will be doing a full review once my push-to-talk thingy comes in. So that's probably going to be the second video after this video I've got of the rifle I've got here. The third video is, you may or may have not noticed on my website, on my CraftySniper's Facebook page, I've been putting photos up of a rather large acquisition I made a couple of weeks ago. And that rather large, heavy, bulky, massive, what else can we describe it as, tank gun, is the G&G GMG42, or as we all know it, the MG42. As I know it, it's that mother humping machine gun. But anyway, I will be doing somehow a review video on that gun. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work yet, because the gun is freaking huge, man. So, you know, I'm going to work something out. I'm dying to get that on a video and show you guys what that gun's really like, due to the fact that ain't that many of them in this country. I dare say there ain't going to be that many in the country at all. But anyway, that's in the future. What I've got for you today, like I said, is this. Now, for all those that have been like me in Airsoft for many years and have a varied collection of weapons, the Combat Machine Range is quite a good gun. Now, I just want to say, first and foremost, this isn't my gun. This is not part of my collection. I personally don't own any Desert Tan guns. This gun belongs to Matt. Matt is a fellow member on the squad that I'm a part of, and he very gracefully has lent me his Combat Machine M4. Big thanks to Matt, I really appreciate it. Thank you for a thumbs up you do for that. I dearly love the Combat Machine range. There's a whole heap of them, mostly M4s, a couple of AKs, that kind of stuff. I would dearly love to get my hands on more of these Combat Machine guns and do reviews of them. I'd really love to get my hands on the brand spanking new Combat Machine guns out there to do videos on, because they are just something else. But that's something else. You know, that's literally something else. We're going to go back to the old style Combat Machine guns. Now, obviously, this gun is set up for Matt. The gun does not come with the red dot sight on the top of it. I don't think it comes with the grip at the front here, the foregrip. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to review this. I'm going to review it in the different sections I normally do. We're going to do an external review, we're going to do an internal review, and I'm also going to do a shooting test, a chrono test of this particular gun. Then I'm going to give my opinions on what I think about these guns. Now, first of all, externals. What we're going to do, we're going to start at the back end of this gun, work our way forward. I'm going to tell you what's plastic and what's metal. Unfortunately, yes, there is a lot of plastic on these guns. Now, before people just start blabbering on that airsoft guns are naff when they're made out of plastic, sorry, excuse me. This is G&G's reinforced ABS plastic. The stuff is brilliant. I'm not going to take anybody saying that these plastic guns are terrible. They are not terrible. They're actually really good. I used to own one of these, not this particular model. I owned a CM16, which was a little bit different, had a little bit different front end, but still was mainly plastic, and the gun was awesome. But that's my gun, that's my history of my owning of a combat machine weapon. But like I said, we'll start at the rear. You have a plastic stock. This stock's a little bit different than most stocks. It's an adjustable stock. It's different positions you can put this in. So if you're quite a short person, this kind of position is going to be good for you. Good for shouldering, very good, very good. But if you're like me and you have tree trunks for arms, this doesn't quite work. So what you do is, you've got a little latch at the bottom here, press that in, and it allows you to slide the stock. Now once you slide it out, you get to a position, you hear a click. So let's do that again, just so you can hear it, and I'll shut up. Once that click has happened, that stock ain't going nowhere. Won't come out, won't go back in again, unless you press the button. Now that's not the only position it will go in. You have a 3-position, I do believe these are called crane stocks, so I'm just going to call them adjustable stocks because they are adjustable. But this stock rides up and down a metal buffer tube. And at the bottom of the buffer tube, and we're going to see, is the gizmo which has the holes in, which allows the stock to sit into certain positions. Now when the stock is in its fully out position, it's sat in its position right now, it's a little bit loose. It is a tiny bit loose, but that's mainly because you've got a plastic stock on a metal buffer tube. There's going to be a little bit give. It's not a bad amount of wobble on it. It's not going to, you know, throw your aim off. Maybe if the gun had recoil, you'd have a little bit of a problem, but remember, this is airsoft. We don't deal with recoil. So, a little bit of wobble, nothing to really worry about, to be honest with you. Going forward, like I said, you have a metal buffer tube, which sits against a metal sling point. Now this is good. I've seen airsoft guns come with plastic sling points. They're bad because you are allowing a plastic part to hold the entirety of the weight of the gun, which is probably fine if you're standing still and you've just got the gun there and it ain't gonna do much damage. But if you start running with this sling, it can snap. The sling point, sorry, can snap. So that's bad. But this one has a metal, actually has left and right sling points. Well, you can see that with the stock being in the way. So if you are a lefty or a righty, you're perfectly fine to sling in this weapon. Going forward even more, you go on to the upper and lower receivers. Now the upper receiver is this part here. That's plastic. The lower receiver down here, that's plastic. The trigger grip here, that's plastic. The trigger itself, that's metal. The trigger guard here, that's plastic, unfortunately. The magwell, that's plastic. The front section, all these rails, they're plastic. In fact, the top rail on the top here, that's plastic. The outer barrel, the flash hider in this case, that's metal. That's a very, very good quality metal. And the outer barrel itself is going to be metal as well. The threads for this, you can detach this flash hider and put a suppressor on if you want. It's a 14mm clockwise even thread system, so they're standard for G&G guns. You can put whatever you want on there, suppressors or a different flash hider if you so wish. So there is a lot of plastic on this gun, but like I said, when I owned my CM16 Raider, I think it was called, I fell over with it. You know, I was new to airsoft, I was running like an idiot. Probably away from the firefight, to be honest with you, and I tripped over something that was on the floor and I went flying. Rifle took the full brunt of it. The only thing that happened was the barrel went in the dirt, so I just fired off a couple of shots to knock the dirt out. Bang, gun starts working again. I'm a little bit sore, but the gun was fine. So the plastic on these, the reinforced ABS plastic, is fantastic. It really, really is good. It's what gives you the low price. Now, on the other side of the gun, we have the, well, where the spent cartridges would be coming out of if it was a real gun. Obviously in airsoft it isn't. You have a charging handle here. If you want to change your hop up, all you do is pull the charging handle back. And I'll just show you that. That exposes the hop system, which is a little green dial somewhere around where my finger is. That is your hop dial. The brilliant thing about this is that you are able, obviously I'm a lefty so it's a little bit difficult for me to do, but if you're a righty this is fine. You're shooting, you want to test your range, you want to work out where your hop settings are, take a few shots, pull it back, fiddle with it, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, okay, I need a bit more. Pull it back, change it, bang, 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 and you're able to keep the gun in the right position, so you can find out the difference between the different hop settings of this hop-up unit, which, by the way, G&G's hop units with their G&G green hop rubbers, awesome, brilliant, long life, work very well in cold temperatures as well, so they work well for the UK. The dust cover, before I move off this thing, the dust cover, that is metal, so this is metal. It will shut, but to be honest with you, as soon as you fire, it just comes loose anyway and opens up like that. That's not a problem, it's not a negative. You've got a piece of metal across here which is shielding any kind of stuff that's going to get into your hop system. Even then, to be honest with you, that's the outside of the hop barrel, a hop chamber. It's going to be very difficult for anything to get in there. Now, externally is where we come to the fun part, because obviously, as good as the gun looks on the outside, if the internals are naff, the gun's rubbish. Glad to report, combat machines have, like most M4s, a version 2 gearbox. Now, G&G's version 2 gearboxes are bulletproof. As long as you don't, you know, chuck this thing in a river or something stupid like that, these gearboxes just keep on turning. They're quite happily putting out around, you know, I think this particular rifle is rated at somewhere between 315 and 320 FPS. I've seen some of these come out of the box at around 340 FPS. I've seen some of them come out around 315 FPS. You know, it's basically a very, very good gearbox no matter what you get. As long as you get it from a reputable company, you're pretty much golden for having a great airsoft weapon. Now, the great thing about a version 2 gearbox is the fact that, you know, with 80% of all airsoft guns being M4s, as we all know, there's going to be surplus amounts of version 2 gearboxes, and also a lot of companies out there who are making parts for version 2 gearboxes. So say for instance you've had this gun for a couple of years, you know, it's your sturdy gun, it just keeps on going, but you're starting to, you know, the springs maybe starting to lose some of the FPS, so you may be thinking, oh, I'll change the spring in it, so that means opening up a gearbox. So you start to think, well, maybe if I change the gears, you know, they start to get worn, that kind of stuff, or change the motor. You know, the gearboxes are actually quite easy to work on. Now, before I go any further, on the maintenance of version 2 gearboxes, or any maintenance on an airsoft gearbox, all I can say is either find someone who knows what they're talking about, because these gearboxes can be a minefield to go through. Version 2s are fairly easy, but if you're inexperienced in these things, YouTube is always a good way of looking for how people actually take these things apart. But if your gun's still under warranty, taking apart these guns makes your warranty disappear. So it's up to you, but you know, I'd wait first of all for your warranty to disappear before I started tinkering with these guns. Now, the gun behind me, which is, no, it's on that side even, is the next model up. That's a G&G GR15, I do believe, with a great big grenade launcher and a suppressor on the end of it. That is my personal M4 rifle, M4 stroke M16 stroke, God knows what it is. That is my go-to rifle for, you know, looking like the special forces kind of person that I am. It's had a spring change, you know, it's about 3 years old now. It's had a spring change and a full maintenance on the gearbox. Because that gun has something called blowback, and I'm pretty sure this gun does not have blowback, this gun is easy to work on, because blowback is a sod to remove on a gearbox. It sits on top of the gearbox. Once you remove the gearbox from this, you've ended up with a block. And you have to split it in two to get to the bits and pieces you want to upgrade. This gun would be easy to take apart. I'm not going to, so don't worry, Matt. But my gun behind me was a bit of a sod to try and get the blowback unit off the gearbox. Once it was off, it becomes a standard version 2 gearbox. Wha-bang, it starts working. You can take it apart very easily and change your internals. But it did take a little bit of a while to think about how I was going to get rid of the blowback system. Anyway, moving on up in the internal section. Obviously, like I said, we have the hop unit, which is sitting here, and the barrel system. You can basically change the inner barrel in one of these a lot easier than you can do with the gearbox. In less than 5 minutes, really. It really is that simple. You literally, I'm not sure about the combat machine range, but usually on my gun behind me, you knock out this pin right here, lift the dust cover up out of the way, pull the charging handle back just slightly, and the whole front section comes off. Now, like I said, I'm not going to do that to this gun. I'm not 100% if this is exactly the same as my gun behind me, but it's not going to be much more difficult than that. So changing the hot rubber on these, very easy to do. Like I said, I'd recommend, with this being a G&G gun, stick with G&G's green hot rubbers. They are brilliant. Once they bed in, they're absolutely awesome. You may want to change the inner barrel in one of these. This particular inner barrel is going to be quite small compared to the barrel that's in my M4. This one I do believe is a 6.05 barrel, diameter barrel, so it's not a tight bore. It's not a wide bore or anything. It's just a standard barrel that G&G put in their guns. Compare this to a tight bore. You're not going to get a really tight grouping at range. However, out of the box, these things are golden. You don't need to change them. This particular one will be good at working in a forest kind of environment, an outdoor environment where you have range to deal with. Also, if you compress the stock on it, it's a very good building clearance weapon because it's not that much of a longer weapon. You can get around all the buildings and all the rooms without smacking the front end into anything, unlike mine, which is obviously built for outside work. Now, onto the important stuff. You're probably wondering, where does the battery go? Because on mine, I have a solid stock on it. Now, the solid stocks, I swear, on an M4/M16, I personally love solid stocks. A, they're cheap. B, they allow you to put whatever battery in you want, because you've got all that space for a battery to sit in. This one, it doesn't have a solid stock, does it? It has a a collapsible stock. Now, sometimes you can buy these guns and they'll come with a battery. But if you don't, you're going to obviously want a battery. And the battery that you're going to need to get hold of is this style battery. This is a 9.6 1600 battery. It's I think they're called nunchuck batteries or something like that, but it's separate. It's two separate banks of batteries. Now, on the gun, how do you find out how to get the battery in? Well, first of all, I personally collapse the stocks. Then, at the bottom section just here, there is, oh, you can just see that, there's two clips. And you press them in, and it pops off this section here, the butt plate, which is rubberized, by the way, so that's very good for sitting it against your shoulder. Now you're left with this section of the gun. Stick your finger in the hole just at the top here, there's a section up here, and you can pull out this plastic triangular piece of plastic, would you believe. And now, so we can see the white thing there is a small type Tamiya connector, and you have two tubes, for want of a better word, on the outside of the buffer tube here, which is where your two banks of batteries are going to go in. Now, I can't do this on the camera, but all you're basically doing is you slide the banks of batteries into the right holes, and then you connect your Tamiya connector, which is a bit of a swine, but once that's connected, make sure that you are not crimping any of your cables. Reattach the triangular plastic so that you end up with it back on like so. Once that's on, reattach your rubberized buttstock, which basically is just like there's a piece of a plastic hook just here. Hook that in at the top. That then lines up the plastic clip points here that you pressed in to take this thing off, and you just, he says with confidence, click this on, give it a little tap, and once it's on, it's on. Once you've done that, you are still able to move your stock, but now you have a battery in it. Obviously, I have checked before I did this video that this gun is clear and that there is no rounds in the hop unit at all, so I'm safe to do pretty much what I want to do now. You have a fire selector just here, that's in the safe position. With American rifles, the first setting is for semi-auto, and when you go across the other side, that is full auto. So on semi-auto, you get 1 trigger pull to 1 BB leaving the, if the magazine was loaded, that is. If you select it onto full auto, you get your full auto. Now, a piece of advice I learned, if a gun does not have the ability to reset its gearbox, there is a possibility that after your days of using this gun, the gearbox may leave the spring compressed. And this is a bad thing, because being that it could be like 2 weeks before your next match, you don't want to leave this gun with a compressed spring. So that gun behind me, you just press the assist button here and it would reset the spring. Obviously this gun combat machine doesn't do a darn thing. But you can get around this. You put the gun into semi-auto, just fire a couple of shots, and that is guaranteed to reset the whole gearbox, because every single pull on the trigger at semi-auto is a complete revolution of the gearbox. If you put the gun into full auto and you blast out a few rounds, the gun could sit with its spring compressed and the gearbox hasn't done a complete revolution. So to get around that, like I say, put it into semi-auto. I always fire 2 rounds out of it just to make sure. That has now put your gearbox into the correct position with the spring not compressed. So anyway, that's what happens when you put a 9.6 battery in it. I would probably, you can go at a 7.4 LiPo in these guns. It probably will up the fire rate a bit, but you know, to be honest with you, you want a nice cheap battery for these. So get a 9.6 1600 battery. You'll probably last all day, and hey presto, that gun will work perfectly. Now, out of the box, this gun does not come with the red dot sight, and like I said, doesn't come with the grip. What it will come with is this. This is a rear section of the iron sights. This is what, obviously, to be honest with you, this gun does not actually have a front sight. I've just realised this. On my gun, I have a front triangular section sight here, which obviously the rear sight would fit to. This gun doesn't have a front sight. This is my stupidity. I really didn't realise this. It probably has a different style of iron sight, which probably won't be like this. It might be a flip-up kind of section sight, which you'll have a flip-up rear sight and a flip-up front sight. If you want to run with iron sights, that's fine. You don't really get any advantage out of, or disadvantage, should I say, out of running iron sights in airsoft. Like I say, Matt wants to run it with a red dot sight. That's fine. It kind of suits the weapon really, having a red dot sight like this. I wouldn't have a great big mahoosive sight on it, but that's, you know, that's just my opinion. You can run it however you wish. Also out of the box, which these guns come with, is the G&G high cap magazine. Now these high cap magazines, these are made out of metal, and as the name says, high cap, they will hold 350 rounds, give or take. And when you put them in, you get a nice click to say the magazine's in. Everything's cushy. Mag release button is on the right hand side of the gun here. Press that, magazine comes out. Now personally, I don't run high caps. These high caps actually date back to when I started airsoft. I have a boatload of these things. I run mid caps and reel caps. Now you'd think a G&G high cap magazine is going to run fantastically with a G&G product. It's going to, yes, that will work. And G&G is starting to release now box sets of mid caps. So if you want to go to a mid cap setup, very easy to do. The likes of 01, Land Warrior, they all have those mid caps for sale. I personally run an unnamed group of reel caps even, which are 30 rounders, and they run brilliantly. They feed awesomely in G&G guns. They feed in my G&P M16. They feed every gun that takes the Stanag style. Sorry, excuse me, it's the Stanag style magazines like these. If you want to another company to run your mids off, Mag are a very good company as well. I have Mag M4 mid caps, which are 120 rounds, I think they are, 120 stroke 160, I cannot work out which ones. I have Mag mid caps for P90, which is 120 rounds, and I also have Mag brand AK mags for mid caps, which are 100 round mags. and they are run brilliantly in the G&G AK that I have, the P90, which is Tokyo Marui. Again, the Mag brand, run brilliantly and feed every single round, bar the last 3. Obviously, naturally, when you pull out a magazine, you always get 3 rounds that drop out of the thing. That happens on my real caps, for crying out loud, so I'm only running 27 rounds. But anyway, I've divulged, jumping off a little bit. And like I say, I will do a chrono test on this particular gun, to find out what it's shooting at. And I'm also going to do my opinions on this particular gun. So I will now set up for the chrono section, and we'll do a chrono test of what this gun is set up at the moment. I would expect somewhere between 310, 315 for this particular gun. I don't know how much Matt has used it, but like I say, it'll give you an opinion on, or give you a view on what the chronos are for this gun. Okay, welcome to my makeshift chrono station. I have 2.2 gram BBs in the G&G high cap magazine that would come with this gun. We're going to see what this gun will shoot at. Now, I haven't changed the hop setting of this gun, so whatever Matt has set this to, this is what the FPS is going to come out at. And it helps if you put the gun on the semi-auto first. So that was 10 shots. As you can see, it's around the 330 range. That is pretty much bang on for an outside weapon. What we're going to do now is put it onto full auto. We're just going to wind the magazine back up again a little bit. And we're going to see if we can get a rounds per second out of this gun with a 9.6 1600 battery. Non-LiPo, obviously. Okay, we're looking at about 12 rounds per second with that battery, which again, is pretty much spot on. So we're going to go back to the review station and we'll do the final conclusions of this gun. Well, welcome back to the final stages of the review of the G&G CM18 of the combat machine range. Now, as you've just seen the chrono settings for this gun, or the chrono test I should say, I haven't changed the hop settings on this gun, so whatever Matt has set this gun to, that's what the gun was shooting at. I don't want to play around with the settings just in case I knock it off what was, what Matt was happy with. So even still, it was still shooting at around the 320 FPS range, 330 FPS range, I can't remember now. But that is brilliant, bang on even, for an outdoor setting. So all I can say is, on the FPS results, this gun is shooting bang on for outside. Maybe a little bit too painful, for instance, if you was up close and personal in a building, for instance, on the receiving end of this. But still well within the legal settings for this country, which is 350 feet per second. So, moving on to literally my final conclusions of this gun. This gun, even though I haven't had a chance to actually shoot it in anger, is a fantastic gun. I personally do like M4s. I like them with the rail settings because it allows you to customise the gun. So if you want to put a fancy sight on it, you can. If you want to put a PEC box on it, you can. If you want to put all manner of grips on them, you can. Put a grenade launcher on, yeah, you can, because I think I've just done that to that one. You can put suppressors on the end of it, change the flash hiders. You can literally put whatever you want on these guns. As long as it fits a 20mm rail, these rails will take the attachment. So that's what I do like about these particular M4s. Price wise, you're looking at around about £140 to £150 for this particular gun. That's a really, really great price. You can't go any lower and get better quality, in my view. If you are so brand new to airsoft and you're at that stage now when you really, really know that airsoft is something you want to get involved in and you want to try and work out what your favourite, what your first purchase is going to be, your first airsoft rifle, then like I say to everyone, even if you don't end up with one of these, you've really got to look at them. You've got to look at the combat machine range, because not only is it G&G, G&G are fantastic for airsoft manufacturing. Their gearboxes, the guns themselves, the materials they use to make them, absolutely bang on. And this goes all the way true to the top of the range, to a certain GMG 42 for instance, and likewise goes all the way through the range. The materials they make, the time they take to make these guns, really shows in the final product. These guns are awesome. So if you're after an M4, here you go, one of these. If you are looking to customise your guns, these are just bang up your alley for that. They are shooting brilliantly for the United Kingdom. They're awesome, they're brilliant. So all I can say is these guns are brilliant. I really love them. If I can get my hands on any more combat machine guns, I would love to do reviews on them. This particular CM18 is absolutely brilliant. You know, what can you say anymore about it? It's, you know, you can take the negatives off it with being plastic and just rely on the fact that it's a good quality plastic. But the whole gun, the whole package, is absolutely bang on what you need. If you can get these with a battery in, because sometimes with special offers, then it's even better. You're probably looking at about £160 for that, but you've got your high cap magazine, you've got the rifle, you've got your battery, all you need is the ammunition, and away you go. And that ammunition is dirt cheap anyway. So, anyway, that was the review, or my opinions, on the G&G CM18. Like I said at the start of the video, my next video hopefully will be on communications and radio setups. I also, like I said, like to get a review video of the MG42, which I'll be doing in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Likewise, big thanks to Matt for lending me his CM18. I'll see you guys in the future. Well, not literally in the future, but I will see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed it. Have fun, stay safe,